All you got me is over. Come on.
Finish it, Bird.
Come on.
Finish that shit.
Stop playing, nigga.
Is there a fighter more synonymous with the streets than Kimbo Slice? Well, apart from maybe his friend and fellow Florida hero Jorge Masvidal, Kimbo was just about as legitimate a street brawler as we ever saw achieve success in MMA. In the gritty streets of Miami, a legend was born. Kevin Ferguson, better known as Kimbo Slice, emerged from humble beginnings and became a symbol of raw power and street fighting prowess. His journey from a troubled youth to a viral video sensation captured the attention of the world, forever etching his name in the annals of combat sport history. And this is the story of perhaps his toughest fight during those early viral years. Growing up in the violent and poverty-stricken neighborhood of Cutler Ridge, Slice was no stranger to adversity. Raised by a single mother, he navigated the treacherous streets where survival often depended on one's ability to fight. It was in this unforgiving environment that Slice honed his skills and developed an unyielding determination to rise above his circumstances. Slice's reputation as a formidable fighter began to take shape during his teenage years. He gained notoriety for his street fights, where he would participate in organized brawls that drew large crowds eager to witness his explosive power. These backyard fights provided a platform for Slice to showcase his natural talent and build his street cred. During this time, Kimbo was working as a bouncer, a limousine driver, and bodyguard for an adult entertainment company run by his childhood friend. But he was about to begin walking a path that would forever change his life. The intensity and aggression displayed by Slice in his early underground battles quickly caught the attention of the internet. In the early 2000s, the rise of video sharing platforms provided an avenue for these confrontations to reach a global audience. And as his fame started to pick up, it seemed like everyone wanted to take on Miami's newest fighting hero. But trust us, this wild ride was just beginning. The video catapulted Slice's fame and opened doors to opportunities he could only dream of. Promoters and organizers took notice of his mesmerizing ability to captivate audiences, and offers started pouring in. Although his rise to prominence had been unconventional, Slice's raw talent and captivating aura made him an undeniable force in combat sports. But one fight in particular truly did catch on in a big way. It's a contest that has since been etched into the history books as one of the most significant amateur brawls in recorded history. In one corner, you of course had Kimbo Slice, the undefeated behemoth of street fighting. He was at the peak of his powers during this time, but there was one major question that had yet to be fully answered. Just how well would Kimbo's unrefined style work against someone who was actually trained to a reasonably high level? How would Slice's rugged talents compare when stacked up against someone far more well-rounded than him? When it comes to combat, there exists a stark contrast between the controlled chaos of high-level mixed martial arts and the raw, unpredictable nature of street fighting. In high-level MMA, fighters are subjected to rigorous training regimens that encompass various disciplines such as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, boxing, and Muay Thai. They spend countless hours honing their technique, studying opponents, and mastering strategies designed to exploit weaknesses and capitalize on opportunities. This level of preparation ensures that fighters are well-versed in a multitude of techniques, allowing them to navigate the intricacies of the octagon with calculated precision. This allows them to adapt on the job, making them far less one-dimensional. In stark contrast, street fighting lacks the structure and discipline inherent in MMA. It often arises spontaneously, devoid of any formal training or rules. Street fighters rely on brute force, aggression, and the instinct to overpower their opponents. While this may appeal to primal instincts and evoke a sense of chaos, it lacks the finesse and technical proficiency of high-level MMA. The former police officer Sean Gannon was a man who brought far more to the table than any opponent Kimbo had faced thus far. A former Boston police officer turned underground brawler, Gannon's journey from law enforcement to street fighter captivated the imagination of fight enthusiasts around the world. Gannon's story began in the gritty neighborhoods of South Boston, where he served as a dedicated police officer. Known for his toughness and unwavering commitment to his community, Gannon earned respect on the streets for his willingness to go above and beyond the call of duty. However, it was his fateful decision to step into the world of underground fighting that would forever change the course of his life. Driven by a desire to test his mettle in the rawest form of combat, Gannon ventured into the underground fighting scene. Bolstered by his boxing background, he was an instant hit. Word quickly spread of Gannon's ferocious fighting style and his uncanny ability to adapt to any situation. He honed his skills in the seedy underbelly of Boston's fight scene, taking on opponents of all backgrounds and sizes. Gannon's relentless pursuit of victory and his never-back-down attitude earned him a loyal following of fans who marveled at his sheer tenacity. It was during this time that Gannon's reputation caught the attention of Kimbo's team. The stage was set for an epic clash that would forever etch their names in the annals of street fighting history. Kimbo might have been lacking in textbook training, but he relied on his natural punching power and a no-nonsense attitude to overwhelm his opponents. With each strike, he unleashed a torrent of force, aiming to finish his opponents with one decisive blow. Despite his intimidating presence, he possessed surprisingly quick hands and a thunderous knockout punch that had the potential to end a fight in an instant. His striking technique may have been unrefined compared to traditional martial arts, but it was undeniably effective. Slice's fighting style was not just about his physical attributes, it was also a reflection of his mindset. He approached every fight with an unwavering belief in his own abilities, instilling fear in his opponents even before the first punch was thrown. He lived in chaotic and high-pressure situations, feeding off the energy of the crowd and delivering electrifying performances. But this time, there was the feeling that Kimbo was coming up against a far greater threat than ever before. In the underground fighting circuit, where reputations are forged in the fire of raw intensity and unyielding battles, few clashes captured the imagination of fight fans quite like the unsanctioned showdown between Kimbo Slice and Sean Gannon. On that fateful night, two street fighting giants collided in a gritty encounter that would forever be etched in the annals of combat sports history. And everything from the gritty setting to the fight itself made this one of the peaks of the street brawling craze. As the spectators crowded around, their anticipation palpable, the air crackled with a mix of excitement and uncertainty. Both men understood the significance of this encounter, the opportunity to prove their dominance and claim the crown as the king of the streets. It was a clash of two titans, their reputations on the line and their fates intertwined. And it was all being recorded, ready to be uploaded to the legions of interested fans who were waiting on the fight's results. And boy, did these two not waste any time in getting into it. Both of these dudes were capable of delivering KO blows, but early on their chins held up remarkably well. Gannon's sharp hands were giving him a slight edge, but it wasn't like the fight was necessarily slipping away from Kimbo, or at least that's how it was at first. Things got pretty bizarre early on when Gannon caught a hold of Kimbo's neck in the clinch, causing a huge scene as both teams argued over the chosen rule set there and then. Supposedly, chokeholds were not part of the deal. In the end, the fight did continue, but it wouldn't be the last time that things got a little strange. The fight wore on, and Gannon's technical edge was starting to become more and more apparent. He dropped Kimbo to the canvas more than once, bringing the agreed-upon 30-second count into effect. There was more confusion around the legality of knee shots, but either way, by the time the fight had reached its second half, Kimbo was in trouble. Real trouble. His cardio was failing him in a big way, but despite him lacking the look of a fighter who could win, he still beat the 30-second count once again, returning to his feet for one more rally. In the end, however, it wouldn't be enough. Kimbo would eventually fall to the canvas after a hard shot from Gannon, and through a mixture of exhaustion and damage, the fight would be ruled against him. It was Kimbo's first legitimate loss as a star, a humanizing moment for him as this mythical attraction. The giant of internet street fighting had finally been slain. For Sean Gannon, this win would lead to a short and ultimately unsuccessful run in the MMA. He did, of course, make it to the UFC, fighting in the co-main event slot on his debut, but he would never reach the heights of fame that were expected of him, losing his sole UFC appearance in underwhelming fashion by first-round knockout. He would tragically pass away in 2021. As for Kimbo, his own road was also one that ended in a tragic fashion, but in the aftermath of his loss to Sean Gannon, to say that he turned things around would be a massive understatement. Despite losing his undefeated street record, Slice would prove himself to be a huge crossover sensation in mixed martial arts. Sure, he wasn't exactly knocking on the door of a heavyweight title shot or anything once he arrived in the UFC, but his time in Elite XC beforehand, his stint on The Ultimate Fighter, his thrilling ups and downs in the top flight, and his end-of-career run in Bellator, this was all part of the Kimbo Slice story. He managed to secure the future for his entire family, while giving people from his neighborhood and beyond a reason to want more from for themselves. The fans were under no illusions about Kimbo being a world-class fighter, but he was beloved nonetheless. So, when he passed away at the age of 42 in 2016 due to heart failure, it was a blow that hit the MMA community where it hurt most. Kimbo might not have become world champion, but he remains a fighting icon and a hero to many.